Welcome to TruckU. I'm Matt Steele.
And I'm Bruno Massel.
Now today, here is our project. We've got this four-door Toyota Tundra. Beautiful truck. It's a 2007, so it has a couple years on it. But you take a look at this. When it was bought, it was like a top-of-the-line truck. I mean, leather interior. That back seat is massive. It's got that huge back door. It's like a cruise ship on tires, right? It belongs to a buddy of ours, and he's talking about trading it in. And we're thinking, what are you, crazy? Why would you do that?
You know, the thing is, the truck body style hasn't really changed since 2007. So basically, he's going to have a bigger payment every month, a new payment every month, and he's going to have basically the same truck.
Right.
You know, so what we decided to do is tell him to put the brakes on for a minute and let us have it for a little bit. You know, we're going to give him some creature comforts that I think he's looking for in the newer vehicles.
Bottom line, this dude's going to save some money and he's going to thank us in the long run.
Now, let's hope so.
Oh, he will. I guarantee it.
He better.
I mean, you see this? Even up in the cab, my case continues to be made up here because there's really nothing wrong with this. Okay, I admit it. There are a few of the newer, modern kind of things that are missing. But other than that, it's all good.
You know, for once, I'm actually in full agreement with you on this. A simple upgrade to the stereo system will change this whole cab and give him a couple of things that he's missing from the modern stereos. You know, a backup camera, he's going to have a navigation system, and all of it's going to fit and look good and look like it's a factory radio as well. And actually, it's going to perform better than any factory radio will.
Well, Bluetooth is another thing that he's going to have on here. And I admit, I was one of the holdouts on that for a long time. I thought, well, what's the big deal? Then I got it, and I realized I was like, I can't live without it. I admit it, I'm spoiled a little bit now.
You know, so what we got to do is get the old dash system apart and the radio out. And what you want to do is make sure you have the right tool like this. If you put a screwdriver in here, you can damage some of these clips. That's something you don't want to do. This way, when we get it all popped out, it will all pop back in.
Nice. Ooh, look at that.
It's almost too easy.
All right, with the stock system out, we can now start taking a look at what we're going to replace it with, and it all goes down right here. It's the audio-video navigation system from Alpine. I think the thing that Bruno and I like the best about this is this massive 8-inch display. It's the biggest one anywhere. It's huge. It's got everything.
Yeah, it's nice because we've got the Bluetooth that Matt's so fond of. We got the backup camera. We've got the navigation. All the creature comforts you want out of today's version of this Tundra truck, and then some. You know, what's nice about it is from Alpine, you can get a perfect fit installation kit for your vehicle. So they take away all the guesswork in terms of all the wiring, and when it's all said and done, it goes together easily, and it looks like it was from the factory. It doesn't look all cobbled into place.
Now, that's an optional piece that's available for the most popular vehicles on the road. If you have a vehicle that's not that popular, well, you can fab that up yourself if that's what you want to do, or you can always go down to the Alpine installer and just have them do that, because they can get a system like this in any vehicle on the road.
So we got the preliminary wiring done for our Alpine system, and you know, it was running a few wires and surprisingly it went really easy. Now it's taking the Alpine wiring harness, plugging it into the wiring harness we've got right here for the truck, and then making connections to the back of the stereo. Once it's all wired in, plugged in, just a matter of mounting in place with 4 bolts right here.
Now that we've got the Alpine system totally hooked up, we can start playing with the buttons. This is where it gets fun, right? So I'm gonna hit the star button here, and this takes us into some things you can check out. You know, gas station presets, places that you go frequently. You can just one touch of a button and get it there. FM presets. Now, the iPersonalize. We want to make everything sound good. Car specific. This is a 4-door truck. Driver is on the left. 6.5-inch speakers. Tweeters, yes, those are installed.
All right, so what we're doing right now is setting up the stereo for the vehicle to optimize the sound. So it's not just a generic, well, you're going to get what you're going to get. It's personalized for the vehicle and for the driver, because the driver is sitting to the left and your home theater system, you're sitting in the middle, everything's aimed at you in the right spot. Well, this is compensating for you sitting next to the speaker on the door, and it's going to give you that same surround sound as you'd be sitting in your own home theater. Watch this.
That's time correction. Now, you take a look at this, and these numbers show you that different speakers are set to different delays. What it does is it makes the driver of the vehicle, makes it sound like the driver is in the middle or the center of the vehicle. It makes that sound the best that it can possibly be, and that's what it's all about. So that's why these numbers are a little bit different.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
It's a pretty cool system when you talk about just the sound alone, but the other features we wanted, we've got right here as well. You click this button here, and it takes us to our navigation screen. So you tell me, yeah, I'm not going to do it while going down the road. Here it is. Right now we're looking for a signal because we're indoors, and here's our bright big navigation. It's an 8-inch screen. You can't help but miss it. And you got your other hookups along the way. Obviously, your radio stations. We're all set up for our Bluetooth. Man, this thing is just awesome.
That's way better than those old little screens that you put way up there on the driveway. Man, This is big. It's right there. We've got the camera in the back, too. So the camera is really going to help when we're backing up and doing some trailer driving and this, that, the other. Look at that. Boom.
Yeah.
Love it.
Nice.
What we're getting at here is the fact that on this Alpine system, we've gone over a bunch of the options already and a bunch of the things that it can do. But the cool thing is, no matter how much you are into stereo systems or whether you're a complete novice and you don't know anything at all, there are enough things going on this system to keep you busy and entertained for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's a good time for us to go to break while we play with this new system. As we come back, we got to get some work done on this truck.
Cool. Welcome back to TruckU. So today we're working on this 2007 four-door Toyota Tundra that belongs to a buddy of ours who dropped a bombshell on us, and he said he wanted to trade it in for a new truck. We're like, hold on a minute, man. Bring it to us for a day. We think we can make some changes, save you some money, and I think he's going to want to keep this truck.
Yeah, I think so. You know, one of the things he was looking for in a newer model was an upgraded stereo package. Now, guys from Alpine hooked us up there, and that is all taken care of. One of the other things he was looking for was a better towing package. So we're going to address that with some products we got from the guys at TorqueLift International. It's the stable load quick disconnect system is one of them, and it's going to allow us to get better overall handling when we're at heavy loads. Nice thing about the whole system, it installs really easily.
So here's what we've got going on back here. You've got the leaf springs and the overload spring. Now this doesn't even come into play until these flatten all the way out. That's how that works. But now back here, the stable load, it bolts up right here. We had to put a hole in right here on the back and drill one hole up in the front. Now look, when this is mounted, we'll simply pull this pin and this piece will turn in and it kind of fills that gap right there and it brings that overload spring into play much sooner, which is good when you're hauling a heavy load. So it kind of tightens up that suspension. Now when you're not using it, boom, pull this out simply, drop that pin in there, and you're good to go, and you've got the good suspension in the back of the truck like you had.
Yeah, it engages and disengages in a matter of minutes, and Matt said it. In this application, we had to drill a hole, but typically it just bolts into place, and they even give you the drill bits to do it. You just take your time, and it'll drill right through. Now, one of the reasons why we put the system on is the fact that by engaging that helper spring, what we're doing is stiffening up the back suspension, allowing it to handle heavier loads and not sway and not buck and not get body roll going down the road. Now, when we're working on the back suspension, it's a good time for us to go ahead and install a lift kit we got from the guys at RevTech. Now, it's an 1.5 inch lift in back to go with the 2.5 up front, and the whole idea is to give this thing a more aggressive stance, so to speak, and I think it's going to change the overall look of the truck as well.
This is a nice looking block right here, you know?
Yeah,
and actually it's tapered a little bit, and the skinnier part goes up towards the front. So when we take a look at this back here, all we have to do, really, is undo the U-bolts here, loosen up the shock, loosen up a few things, drop this axle down a little bit, just enough room to where we can slide this block in, and that will locate it right there, and then basically the kit comes with longer U-bolts. We'll slide those in, put the axle back up, and it's done. Now when you're tightening down these U-bolts, just do it nice and even. Do a little cross pattern, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there. Keep it as even as you can, and then run those babies up tight.
So our suspension upgrades are done. Now it's time to put in the last piece of the puzzle for our towing package upgrade. It's the Super Hitch Hero from TorqueLift International. What it's going to do is make our trailer hitch ridiculously strong. I'm talking, this thing's going to give us 15,000 pound hitch capacity, which is like insane.
One thing he should not do is try to put 15,000 pounds behind this truck. But if he does, it won't be the hitch that breaks. So he's got that going for him, right? And a 1,500 pound tongue capacity. So that's pretty heavy too. You can put a lot of weight right there. First thing we had to do was come back here and mount these brackets right here. So we just hung them loosely in place. Basically now we can just kind of gently slide that up in here, keep everything loose, bolt it in, and then tighten it all up once we get it all in place, right?
Yeah, basically it's going to go behind underneath our other hitch and give us like a double layer of support, and that's how we're getting so much strength out of it. Now this is a beefy piece, so
heavy.
I hope you brought your lifting belt.
I forgot to tell you, I can't lift today. I'm not medically cleared, right?
Really?
Yeah, I'm not kidding around this time. Like usual, I'm not joking. Look, I have a doctor's note, if it helps. Look.
Oh, that's legit.
Matt can't lift. Doc.
You're embarrassing yourself.
No,
Stop it.
Look, it's written on the back of a promo card. Imagine that. How convenient.
You know what, Sally? I'll take
this.
Can you lift the bolts?
Yes.
You got to check with your doctor first?
No. He's good. He just said don't lift anything over like 2 pounds. It's
so
like
just a normal day for steel.
Whole hernia thing, dude. I'm getting old. I mean, with my hernia and your tendonitis, we're not quite what we used to be. You know?
Speak for yourself. One thing I forgot to mention about both products we got from TorqueLift International is the fact that both are made right here in the United States, and Matt and I can get on board with that, and the fact that they come with a lifetime warranty makes it even better.
Absolutely. Now, one of the last pieces that we got to put in place before we bolt everything up is right here, and it's this little support bar. So you think about it, we're going to be putting a lot of weight potentially on the back of this hitch, right? You lined up good? All right, cool. And what this will do is it'll bolt up to the bottom side of the hitch right here and up to the frame just behind my head back there. And that gives us a lot of structural support right here. For
Crank that baby up like that. Let me get the other bolts.
Yeah,
I can sit, just let it sit in the axle housing for now.
Yeah, I'll just leave it there for now. All right, we got to tighten everything up anyway. And we'll finish up that. We need to go to break right now. When we come back, we're going to start working on that front suspension. Which brings me to this point. You know, I certainly hope he keeps this thing after all this work that we're doing.
All the heavy lifting that you've been doing.
Think about that? Well, I'm not medically cleared, dude. And I told you, I'm not messing around. So the RevTech suspension is installed in the back. You know what I like about that? It took about 1.5 minutes. You know, it was nice and easy. And it's easy up here in the front too, because there's no cutting, there's no welding or anything like that. You loosen up a couple things, get the spring shock out of the way. This basically slides right up on top of that, and you're done. You put everything back together.
Yeah, you know, we're using the 2.5-inch lift up front to go with the 1.5 in the back, and that's going to make everything nice and level. I like the stance, it'll look good. Nice thing about it is it saves a lot of work in the factory. We don't have to change any of the geometry with the steering.
Right.
So that's all done. All I need to do now is take this over to the spring compressor and start pulling this apart.
By not changing all the geometry on the suspension too, you're not going to nullify the factory warranty, and RevTech has a limited lifetime warranty on the lift, so Bruno's going to handle that.
So we came over to the spring compressor to compress the spring and go ahead and get the shock out. So the shock came out through the bottom. The shock out of the way, you can take off this top cap, and then there's a rubber isolator we're going to remove and replace with this spacer we got from the guys at RevTech, and that's where our lift is going to come into play. Now I want to warn you guys, if you don't have something like this, don't try this at home, because these things have so much pressure on it. If you go to take it off without, this can let loose and someone can get hurt. So make sure you use the right tools. If not, take it to someone who's got them. So what we'll do is we'll put this back up inside, and one of the things they tell you before you take it off is you'll see where the nut goes down, and you want to count the threads on this shaft right here to make sure that you get it back in the same spot. Now we also went ahead and put a tape measure on. I think it's a little bit more accurate because you'll have a better idea of how far you need to go. So it was 3/4 of an inch, so we need to make a mental note. So we put the nut back on, we get the right depth of it. So this will go back up into place and bolt all this stuff back up. The thing is, once this gets all back together, we need to go ahead and do the same thing on the other shock, and then our lift kit is basically done up front. We can keep moving on with this Toyota. Welcome back. We're continuing to work on this 2007 Toyota Tundra. And you know what? When you're going to do a makeover on a vehicle, the easiest thing you can do is throw some new wheels and tires on. It's like, pa-dow, you got a new ride.
Pa-dow is my line.
But I do it better.
That's gimmick infringement, right? All right, let's take a look at the tires, because when it comes to that, there's a lot of different ways we can go. We decided to go with the Discoverer AT3 from Cooper Tire. It's an all-terrain tire. I think it'll be perfect for this truck because it'll combine the elements of superior handling on and off-road as well, and that's what he wants.
Well, one of the things you got to talk about when you put new wheels and tires on are the TPMS sensors you forgot. Wow. So what we're talking about is a sensor that's telling you if you've got low tire pressure. And any newer vehicle, like this one being a 2007, if you got a low tire, it'll come up on the dash as a warning light, or even some of the new ones, it'll tell you the exact tire pressure on all four. The thing is, these things can be expensive, and you put new aftermarket wheels on, they don't come with. So what you want to do is take the old ones out of your factory wheels and tires, like this right here. You want to be careful because they can break coming out. And they'll cost you on average about 80 to 100 bucks a piece. And if you break them, like you did right there,
yeah, my bad.
Not only are you out money, but you got to make sure you get ones that are programmed for the vehicle. So if you use the factory ones, they're already programmed, you won't have any issues.
All right, you done throwing me under the bus?
Exposing
my breakage. All right, back to the tire, because for a moment I want to take a look at the anatomy of things right here. So we've got this aggressive 5-rib design going across the top, right? You can see the grooves. This tire, that's where all the traction's coming from, and it's designed to clean out as it spins. So you get rocks and debris and whatever, they're just going to spin out. They're not going to get lodged in there. That's good. Additionally, you've got a silica-based tread design in there. Not only does that give you improved resistance for cuts and chips, but it's also going to give you better handling in wet conditions. So whether it's a muddy road or a wet street or a boat ramp, whatever, this tire is going to be grabbing and doing its job. I really think these are perfect for this application.
So here it is, our big reveal, and I'll tell you something, the wheels and tires really made over the look of this truck, and we've got the Coopers mounted on the 982 Raptors from Raceline. They look good, they've got that nice aggressive look to it, the matte black here with the machined edges and the clear coat for protection. This is a serious upgrade over the factory wheel and tire kit.